budget committee meeting for Wednesday, May 19th. We have 3 things on our agenda to look at today. The first being a then and now certification approval request that's on page 9 in the packet for Generations Behavioral Health Care. Michelle, do you want to tell us about that?
Yes. I don't know if you remember last month when we increased that particular line item of the budget by an additional $50,000 because they keep extending the period that we can use this funding.
Mm-hmm.
So because it had to go through the county process, and at that point, these hospitalizations had already occurred. It's a then and now because I received the bill before I received the bill with services prior to when the purchase order would be dated.
Okay, so we have the funds in the line item that we approved last time, and this is just being able to pay that bill from those funds we approved.
Right.
Okay, anyone have questions about that explanation? Barring none, we need a motion and a first to approve the then and now for the $28,750 presented on page 9.
I make a motion to approve.
Oh, I'll second.
Okay, that was Jen first and Mark with a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 2, it's our review and approval of the expenditures for May 2021, and you'll see on pages 10 and 11 the list of bills. It did look like there were a few kind of maybe different things on there, Michelle.
Yes.
What should we know?
Okay, the very first one, Gongwer, that is an annual news service feed that we get. So this is just the annual fee for that throughout the year. It gives Natalie lots of information regarding legislation and different things affecting mental health and substance abuse.
Okay.
If you go down to 881, you'll see we got our first audit bill. So the audit has started. It's not into full swing yet, but it's getting there. It's going to be in full swing here real soon. So, and that is a very small bill, $430. So it was just some pre-work that they did before they started. And
this is off topic, but did they have the opening conference?
we waived it.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
Just because it's the same as always. I mean, they're doing the same thing that they've done previously.
Yeah.
So we determined that it was not necessarily. Now the exit conference will be a different story. We probably won't waive that.
Okay.
So the next one would be Southeast under agencies. Southeast has finally submitted billings.
I saw that. I was kind of excited to see them finally using some of the funds.
Yes, they are all mental health services. They didn't bill any AOD services. And each of they actually go back to the beginning of September. So I don't know if they were doing it, if they were providing services in July and August, because if they were, they didn't bill them. So I'm assuming they probably didn't. Not that they can't continue to bill them through the end of August. So, but they're very small. There was one month that it was over 1,000, and then the rest of the months are usually, well, they're less than 500 a month. So I don't know that they'll be generating well, I know they won't be generating their entire contract. Something big changes.
Okay.
All right. And the only other thing, this was on last month's list of bills too, 720 under acute services. That's just a shared funding agreement that the board has with Job and Family Services and the DD board for placement for a child. So you won't see that on there very frequently. Just so happens that there were 2 of them. One happened last month and one happened this month.
What line item was that, Michelle?
720 acute services.
Okay. All right.
So get back to the audit. Do
Yep.
we have an idea how much the audit is going to cost. I know with an agency I worked with before, it was, I want to say 1 year was close to $10,000.
Well, we have we require a single audit because of the amount of federal dollars that we receive or spend. So our audit, the letter of arrangement says around 9,000, but that's for one federal program. Last year, they audited us for 2 federal programs, and then we had to add on an amendment, to their original quote that included the extra time and the extra program. So we have enough budgeted to cover whatever it is, because it won't double by any means. It's just another project or, another fund that they have to review. So she has not determined if we're a just one agent or one fund or 2 fund requirements. So we should know that probably by middle of next week.
Michelle, what do we have budgeted for that audit? What's the,
I think we have 20,000 budgeted. Let me check.
okay.
I know we have 20,000 budgeted in the 22 budget. So I would imagine this is probably very similar. Oh, you know what? The audit is encapsulated in there. Yeah. 20,000 is what we've budgeted.
Okay.
And the way when they do their audit, they're doing a calendar year. So some of their expenses are falling into this fiscal year and other expenses will fall into next fiscal year. So we're kind of 20,000 is there because you never know for sure how much is going to fall into the next fiscal year. So
I was just
Okay.
pleasantly surprised to see $430 now in the state and how much
Oh,
they
that's
charge
just-
for audits.
I
Yeah.
think that's just them looking at something.
Yeah. Michelle, what is that Bloom's printing charge that's almost $1,900 under 712? Is that the billboards or?
Is this community ed?
Yeah,
Yes.
community
Okay,
ed.
community ed, that is for QRT cards. We had 2 separate sets of cards made. Mike, what was the other one besides QRT?
It's the resource guide, the mini trifold resource guide that we hand out to law enforcement and first responders.
So we had, that is a portion of it. And then the remainder is just a reprinting fee for some things that needed corrected.
What resource card, Mike?
You've ever seen the little blue trifolds that have, they're like an SU, it's for substance use disorders for folks to carry around with them. It has phone numbers and resources for people to call if they need help.
I don't think we have any of those in my office.
Okay, we've done those for, well, since at least 3 or 4 years, I think now we've done those. I think we still have some here at the office.
I'll swing by and pick up some, at least put in our lobby and pass out to some of the guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else that you wanted to point out on the bills? I see that at 741 is a $33,000 payment to Generations for hospitalizations.
Yes.
Do you expect that we have more hospital bills like that coming in?
Veronica is the one who keeps tabs on that. She had requested an additional 37,000 over what we had already been allocated as additional because they said it was going to continue. She also thinks that there's a possibility that our usage may go up. So that's why we ended up creating the budget for 50,000 last month, so that if the state does say, hey, we're going to continue this again, because that's pretty much the way that everything's operating. By the time the deadline comes, they say, okay, you got 3 more months. Okay, you got 3 more months. And then it's a budgeting nightmare. But at this point, we only have probably 25,000 of that 50 left. So if we get continued, we may have to increase the budget again.
Mm-hmm.
But we wouldn't
Okay.
do that unless it was, that's a particular line item all on its own. It's not There aren't any other things coming out of that funding line item. It's just for indigent hospitalizations.
Okay.
Heartland? Is that like Heartland?
So,
Go ahead.
sorry, Michelle. So, whenever the pandemic hit, Paul, the state saw that the state hospitals were not able to accept people because someone would get COVID and they'd have to shut down an entire unit. And so we'd have people sitting at the ER who would have been Heartland patients because they had no benefits and they were just sitting at the ER. So the way that the state solved this was they used part of their federal dollars, their CARES dollars, and they sent them out to ADAMHS boards and said, we know you can't get people in the state hospital. We're going to give you money so you can contract with a private hospital for the people that normally would have gone to Heartland. And like Michelle said, they've extended and extended and extended that because we're still having some difficulty getting people in Heartland.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
But we have roughly $25,000 of that CARES money left at
Correct.
this point. Okay. Okay. Any other questions about, I wondered, Michelle, on 741 and yeah, they're all 741
Yeah.
items, but those large amounts for like the printing and are those the flyers that are going to go on the takeout boxes and such?
Some of them include flyers, or the sticky notes, which Marianne did a good job. She distributed a lot of them, and I actually received one on my Arby's receipt. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, great.
But so it's the Post-its, it's the postcards that are going out. There's postcards going out for SOAR. There's postcards that are also going out for the RSP grant. So there's two different grants with two different types of postcards targeting the same population, which is all of Tuscarawas and Carroll County. A mailer's choice, that's just the fee for the person who is putting the postage on them and processing them and making sure addresses are correct and things like that.
Okay. And so they are getting $14,000 from both of those grants for
Right.
those items. Okay.
There's almost 60,000 postcards covering Tuscarawas and Carroll County.
Okay.
That's per address, right, Mike?
Yes, per address. Yeah.
So you're saying that it's covering their fee for doing the work and the postage?
Correct.
Okay. 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 All right. Any other questions from the committee to Michelle about the bills? If there are none, we will need a motion and a second to approve the list of bills for $285,401.02.
This is Paul. I'll make the first.
Okay, thanks.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jennifer. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Did we lose Mark?
He
Gave
put a
us
thumbs
some.
up.
Oh, okay, I couldn't see him. Sorry. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carried. All right, the last thing we have to look at is the financial statements for April or through April 2021, pages 12 through 15.
Okay. As you can see, if you look at revenue and at the very top, the OMOS revenue is basically all the normal allocations that aren't drawn down by staff are paid at 100%. So we have all of our state funding in, and most of our federal too, for the normal allocations. Now the things like ECMH and and SOAR and RSP, those are all in and out for those. So if we don't bill it all down, we don't get the money. If we don't provide it, we don't get the money, and that's just how it is. It's not carryover or anything. It's just it can't be spent on anything else. Oh, I do want to mention Title 20. You can see where the total in there is 75,110 as year-to-date. That
Mhm.
is actually our total year-to-date. The 75,297 was the original estimate, but Title 20 never comes in on target. It's usually a little bit low. So it's not that big of a difference. So it shouldn't hurt anything because community mental health care gets that for crisis stabilization services, crisis stabilization unit services. And they don't necessarily always bill out all their mental health. So for the, $200 that we're short, we will probably just move from non-Medicaid into the CSU line item.
Okay. And it looks like we've collected more levy dollars than we
Yes.
had budgeted. That's good.
Yes, it is.
All right. So you think having 86% of our revenue, that's on target for the time of year we're at?
I think in looking at everybody's specifically, I think that we're in pretty good shape. I think we're
Okay.
gonna, and I made the adjustments that we made to the line items last month are included in the board budget for this month.
Okay. I know you always tell us that it's hard with the agencies submitting their billing, but I noticed we're only at 73% of expenses. Do you think that's pretty typical, and you just think we'll have some delayed billing from some of the agencies?
I think it's
catch
pretty I think it's pretty typical because we allow them to bill through the end of August. And so we make the final payment in September.
Mhm.
So if you were looking at this on a 12-month period, with the 12 months ending in June, that's a different percentage than if you're looking at it for 2 more months after that, or 3 more months after that.
Okay. Hey, I am noticing, and I'm assuming this maybe is because of the difference in the way the crisis assessment and hospital placements are going, but our ambulance line item is very low. Like they've only spent $16,000 of the 75,000 we had budgeted for that.
Well, and last month the bill was 6,000. So I think what happened with that one is they had a lot that were not adjoining counties. They're not adjoining counties, they have a higher rate. And so I think there was some high needs that were met. So that was high. So that, yeah, if you look at that and see the ambulance amount, the bulk of, a big chunk of that came in just last month.
Okay.
But you're right, Julie. What we've seen is when the referral comes from the clinic,
Mm-hmm.
Smith is not billing us. When the
Right.
referral, yeah. So you can see that's a significant decrease. We were over $100,000 in that line item a couple of years ago.
Right. And I think that was something we were really going to watch, right?
Correct.
But it kind of worked itself out in a different way.
It did.
Okay. Other questions from the committee about the expenses and where we stand on any of these items? Okay, if there aren't, then we would need to have a motion and a second to approve the statements of revenue and expense that's been presented to us on pages 12 through 15, sorry.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Mark. Is there a second?
I think Paul mouthed it.
A second.
Okay, thanks, Paul. All right. All those in favor either show a sign of thumbs up or say yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, well, unless is there anything else that you need to bring to our attention today, Natalie or Michelle?
Not from my end.
Nope. I'll have more probably next month whenever We're deeper into the audit.
Okay. Fun times for you, huh?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending today, and I hope to see you all at the